same. When you trying to hit me up, like I'm ready to go whenever. I got the computer, I got a new mic and everything, man. I'm set to go. Just let me know when you're ready to go.
And there it is. Our first one goes out to Hunter Brodus, I think. Is that right?
Hunter Brodus.
Brodus?
Yeah. It's funny. Him and Snoop Dogg's last names are pronounced the same.
Gotcha. Now, I was looking at it. I was like, I wonder if they're related. They look identical. Everybody.
Snoop Dogg's missing a D in his. Hunter's actually just a white dude from
right.
Maryland. He's a homie of mine. He's a baker and all that stuff.
A baker, nice. Yeah. All right, so let's pull this up.
Colin, I hope your conversation's going well. I've got 2 questions for BdotJeff. First, what was the most tedious part of recording the album? Like, what just made you groan at the end of the day? And second, what food lifts you up, like, from a bad day? Like, what makes you feel better, like, without a doubt? That's that. Wear your masks, stay healthy, all love.
So that was 2 questions. What was the most tedious part about making the album, and what food makes you smile, it sounds like?
The most tedious part about making the album, most likely was getting the correct sound samples that I wanted. Because being a solo artist and like producing most of the stuff myself, I didn't have the necessary like certain drum samples that had like the correct sound that I wanted for everything. So like I ended up having to trash and redo a ton of stuff like Shadows. There's like 9-10 different versions of that song out there somewhere. Jade Roses has probably like 7 different versions of it out there somewhere. But yeah, and that's why I went up to X Diggity D, or Diggity D is how you're supposed to pronounce it. But that's why I collabed with him on it, because he had a lot of sounds, and like he is a former drummer too, so that ended up working out really well in that regard. Because I didn't have to struggle with that for a lot longer than I actually had planned that I'd be struggling with it.
Nice.
And food that makes me happy.
I feel like that's some sort of inside joke there or something, or something between you guys.
I mean, I really like sushi. Sushi's my favorite food. So like anybody that's friends with me know that sushi is my favorite food, period. Specifically, I like eel rolls a lot, eel cucumber rolls, or eel avocado rolls are really dope.
Right, nothing's better than the, next time you're up in this area, Pacific East has the best sweet potato roll.
Okay.
It's got like a slight bit of a crunch. Like I could eat all day for most foods. I could eat like 2 orders of that and I'm completely stuffed. It's like the perfect level of stuff.
Nice.
But sushi's always good. Let's go into our next one. Tyrell Compton, ring any bells? Yeah. Let's see what we got here.
What's up, BdotJeff, the homie? I had a question for you. So, what were the top 3 songs that you were listening to while creating the project? And how did they influence the production while you were creating the project?
Ooh, man, that's a good one, actually.
So we're talking about the YK2 project.
Yeah.
And what do you got for them?
What's crazy is I was listening to a lot of albums, I guess. Like what I do is I will listen to like a whole playlist full of like albums that like inspire me, that I'm feeling at the time. So I guess I had to take it down to songs. Definitely Jet Fuel by Mac Miller. That was one of the main influences behind Warp Drive. I pretty much took the same key as that song and like flipped it for myself. Probably another Mac Miller song off of Good AM. What is it? It's the one with Schoolboy Q's like talking in a skit. Perfect Circle. Mm-hmm. It's the really long one. It's like halfway through the album, and then, man, I'm gonna have to say probably like Pothole by Tyler, the Creator, from Flower Boy.
Gotcha. That the Mac Miller one, the truck I've got out there will not play burnt CDs, and one of the few actual bought CDs I have is Good AM, and that's been playing on repeat in that truck for like a year and a half.
Nice. That's one of my favorites.
I figure if you're only going to have one CD that keeps continually playing, it might as well be a good one, right?
Yep, exactly.
Who do we got next? Yeah, like a bunch of these came in the last day or so.
Yeah, I got a lot of texts telling me that they were sending stuff in.
So this was a 2-part submission from our good friend Jamil.
Nice.
Hey, BdotJeff, Colin Conversations. It's Jamila in the show. My question is, What song, if any, on the album means the most to you?
Okay, what song on the album means the most to me? Man, that's hard to pinpoint down to one, but I guess if I really were to say one, Faraway X, Faraway 10 Broken. Mostly because I was going through a really rough time in my life. That song was originally like 6-7 minutes long, and I had to chop it down to about 3 minutes, which is just the broken poem at the end. Originally, it was a super personal song, way more personal than it ended up being. And then I realized, I even had to bleep some stuff out because I was like, I can't technically tell people's business like that or say certain things. But I ended up shortening that one down. But that probably like means the most to me, mostly because of the fact that these are just two poems back to back that I was just like venting on about like just not liking where I was in life at the point in time. And like, I feel like if I hadn't like gotten that out on like paper or even like on record, like my mental state would not have been like the same at all, and I probably wouldn't have been able to like release this project, because like that's really like, that track being the climax of the album was really like the glue that kind of like put it all together as kind of a concept.
Gotcha. And when you say that you had to shorten it, you had to cut off a couple minutes of it, is that just you felt it wasn't going to be, people didn't want to listen to a 10-minute song, or what? When you say had to?
For one, I was actually, this album round, I did a lot of research with like how to market an album, what people would listen to, the lengths of songs people like generally don't skip, things like that. And a spoken word or a poem track that's about almost 10 minutes long, right, most likely won't be getting a lot of listens. Right now, because I shortened it, a lot of people are listening to it way more than I thought it was. One of my collaborators, Happy to, like, that's one of his favorite tracks on the whole project, which is kind of crazy. Because I thought because of how personal it would be, people wouldn't like it as much, especially because it's not a song. That was a huge thing. Like, the song structure behind it was like super loose. There's no chorus. It was just a poem, end, poem, and I wanted to create an album that didn't extend past 60 minutes. I wanted to get it ideally less than 45 minutes or at the 45-minute mark. And the album ended up being 44 when I cut it down. I cut a few songs down because a few songs ended up being a little bit longer than they originally were, about a minute for each probably cut outside of Faraway. So yeah, that was one reason why I wanted to actually have it be a more, I guess, personal commercial listen than kind of like a passion project.
Gotcha, that makes sense. And we got one more from Jamil.
Hey, BdotJeff, Colin, how's it going? It's Jamil in the show. My question for you is, what was it like working with another producer on all of the songs for the album?
That man's never not smiling. Every time I've ever seen him, it's always that big grin.
Yep. What was it like? Originally, I had to pretty much, I did a lot of like contemplating on who I wanted to help me out with the production on it. I had the thought process of just being like, all right, I'm gonna send it all to Tyrell Fanaticus, since I work with him so much. I even thought about just sending the whole thing to Jamil and having Jamil work on it. But ultimately I was like, well, I work with these guys all the time. I want to work with someone more outside of the genre, outside of my contemporaries that I normally work with, or that like I even listen to.
Right.
And so Diggity D or Aaron Rigg, him and I go way back. We went to college together at Capitol, and I had done a couple songs with him before. And when I first moved to Columbus, I had pretty much opened for him for his release show for one of his albums. And so I already had the relationship there, and I just kind of was like, well, this dude literally hears certain parts of the songs that I'm literally looking for someone else to have the ear to be able to hear.
Right.
And so I hit him up, and he pretty much was like set to go. So like it was really weird at first because I thought we'd just be sending stuff back and forth. He'd take care of whatever, send me back. And then eventually we were like, we have to sit down in the same room together, stuff will not get done. It'll take way too long. So I brought him the stems, we sat down, and originally I thought I was being like, I had to like tell him like, yo, if I'm like straight up being too bossy, like kind of like being a dick about this, like you can tell me and let me know, because like, yeah, I know it's like my music, and I know you're a musician too, so you know we're kind of sensitive about our shit, like, so it's kind of funny that if you know, don't want to say anything, but I totally understand if you're like, I'm being a dick. And he was pretty much like, no, I agree with a lot of the stuff you're like, a lot of your sentiments. So a lot of it was like a huge communication barrier that like we had to break down one day after like working on a few songs. It's kind of just like, all right, I need to know where you're at mentally. You need to know where I'm at mentally on this project, and so that we can work together like in more fluid motion. And like from there, like we were cranking things out. It was like pretty interesting, mostly because I had all the melodic stuff done, and I just really needed him to rework all my drums. And pretty much a lot of the stuff he kept telling me is like, man, these pockets are pretty much there. I'm just gonna be taking some stuff out, changing some sounds around, and then he added some transitions in. It was like pretty seamless once we got through that barrier.
That's awesome. A lot of your music is real. You can tell it's a real personal thing. So I could kind of see you kind of taking that. You know, this is how it needs to be done. You know, it's funny too how you mentioned how you're already doing research to see how things would be better received, but yet my impression from your music is like it's more of a therapeutic release more so than looking for that commercial gratification.
I would say that, yeah, definitely, especially because I'm not really looking, I love commercial music. That's really what it is. I love the sound of like the lush vibes, you know, like piano like chords that are like everyone uses, same certain progressions that like every hip hop sample has ever used, period. Like there are certain things that I'm just like, man, I want to flip that in my own way. Kind of like, honestly, kind of like a Donald Glover kind of situation where he likes to take popularized sounds and just kind of like make them as weird as possible and experiment on top of like an already existing like sound.
Gotcha, that makes sense. And our last one, we got a couple other ones, but just to keep everything rolling, our last one is coming from, I need your help with this one, Sean Pugh?
Sean Pugh. Yeah, awesome. Former bandmate, sweet.
Questions. What's your Mount Rushmore for rock and metal rap acts? And when are we collaborating?
So that's your Mount Rushmore for metal rap collabs, and when are you guys collaborating?
Okay, man, so Rage Against the Machine, number one. Linkin Park.
Two more.
I really like Fever 333 right now. They're like kind of like a newer act. It's the vocalist. Oh my goodness. It's a band that they just retired, and then he pretty much made a new band immediately after it. They're really dope. What's that, Fort Minor. That's what it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, when Mike Shinoda does the Fort Minor stuff, I love like the way he incorporates Styles Beyond and like a bunch of other like extra like rock metal stuff into his music that like you wouldn't ever hear in like hip hop and like a normal like radio setting.
Right. That's and then you skipped the last one.
Oh yeah, and when you're trying to hit me up, like I'm ready to go whenever, you know, I got the computer, I got a new mic and everything, man, you know, I'm set to go. Just let me know when you're ready to go.
And there it is. So that concludes our first ever video mashup.